In this tutorial, we're going to use the Endurance sound effects library to recreate the underscore from this video. We'll be working in Adobe Premiere for this tutorial, but if you use another software like Final Cut X, you can easily follow the same steps. There's a lot of content in this video, so we're going to move quickly. For starters, let's right-click in our project and import Endurance sound effects. We'll open up the bass folder and grab the drive track, which has a nice moody, pulsing vibe. Next, let's head to the undertones folder and grab the silk version of the high stakes track. In the percussion folder, we're going to use the silk variation of the game face track. Now, all the tracks in Endurance have a common BPM, or beats per minute, which means that if you line the clips up, they'll be in sync with each other. Okay, let's increase the gain to about 6 dB. And we want this to gradually ramp up. So we'll set a keyframe and bring the gain down on this side to about -30. We'll spice this section up more later. Let's trim all the clips to about here. And we'll head to the percussion folder and grab the track called Bank Heist. Okay, so we've got a nice moody section over here that sharply jumps into this clean cut section. Adding contrast and variety between sections is a great way to make things more interesting. So let's right-click and add a couple more tracks to the timeline because we are going to use them. Let's copy and paste the drive track over here. Let's line up the waveforms. Let's go to the undertones folder and grab the track called Beneath Feet, which will add some nice low frequencies to the mix. Let's go to the percussion folder and grab the normal version of the game face track, which is a lot punchier than the silk version. Again, let's zoom in and line up the waveforms. And maybe we'll boost the gain to about 6 dB. Let's also grab the distortion version of the high stakes track. And we'll trim it so it starts with a punch. Next, we're going to copy and paste the Bank Heist track down here. Let's trim the beginning part a bit and bring the volume down to about -8 dB. Let's turn off the snapping, and let's also right-click on the timeline and choose Show Audio Units. This will allow us to shift the tracks by less than a frame. If you're a Final Cut X user, you don't need to worry about this because it's automatic in Final Cut X. Okay, so let's zoom in and line up the track. So it essentially plays at double speed. Sounding awesome. Don't forget to right-click and turn off the Show Audio Units, and let's turn the snapping back on. Now, the simpler you can keep things, the better. But that being said, there are a couple small things we can do to spice this up. First off, inside the percussion folder is a section called Closers. These are shorter clips that give you some nice options. Let's grab Massive Hits B, and let's solo the track. And we'll trim it so we only hear the last hit. Then we'll right-click, choose Speed Duration, and reverse the clip. This is essentially a makeshift riser, and it helps escalate that beginning section. Our other sound effects libraries, like Archetype and Anticipation, have a ton of really useful and cool effects that you could also use to do this. Next, let's grab the normal version of the high stakes track. And we'll ramp it up at the end here. Just set a keyframe here and maybe bring it down to -30 over here. For this other section, we want to make it feel like it's going somewhere. So we're going to use the Keep Moving track from the Patterns folder. So let's solo it and give it a listen. Notice how it goes low in this part. Let's trim it there and use this to set up the end over here. So let's drag it over here and trim it a bit. And we want to fade it in towards the end. So we'll set a keyframe here, and over here, we'll bring it to about -30. We'll trim all our clips. And for the final shot, let's go to the Undertones folder and grab the beginning track. And we'll go to the bass folder and grab the drive track. And let's go to the Patterns folder and grab the Night Run track. Let's trim them a bit. Looks like I need to trim these other clips some more. Let's get this in the right spot. And let's go to the effects panel and search for constant gain and drag that on the ends of the tracks so they slowly fade. And instead of making them all fade out at the exact same time, maybe we'll stagger them a bit. Keeps things interesting. To wrap it up, we'll go to the percussion folder and we'll grab the Silk version of Chamber Hits A. And we'll only use the very last hit. Let's trim the beginning a little bit and line it up with the waveforms so it hits right at the end. Okay, let's give it a listen. So that's a quick preview of how to use Endurance. Remember, the simpler you can keep things, the better. Try to use tracks that hit different frequencies like high, mid, and low. Try adding contrast between sections to keep things interesting. And most importantly, don't be afraid to experiment. The elements in this pack are extremely versatile and there is a ton you can do with them.